with Ted Tim and Michael Paul. If you have a comment, you can call us now at 261-0898 or pound 981 on any C-Spire device. Our email is newsradiomornings@gmail.com.
And once again, we say good morning, 7:16, sunshine outside, sunshine inside. Gene Valentino joins.
Hey, good morning, Gene.
Good morning, gentlemen. Good to hear your voices.
Yeah, well, it's good to hear yours as well, and I get to see you. I'm having some trouble with my camera. You know, it popped up and said error, and I tried to reboot it and all. I don't know what is going on with this, but we'll try to fix that for next week so you and I at least can see each other. And I think you also, you record this, don't you? And you put it on your podcast. So I even dressed up this morning.
Well, it's great. We do a 15-minute live broadcast with you and Ted every Friday morning at 7:15. It goes out to the hundreds of thousands of listeners throughout Mississippi. And we parallel that with a simulcast that we capture. The 15-minute segment then gets posted to the www.genevalentino.com website. We have a section called WMXI. And for all the listeners, if you'd like to hear some of these segments that we do every Friday morning, please do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, sign up, and we'll push these 15-minute segments out to you by email link soon after Friday morning's broadcast. And so if you miss us at 7:15 a.m., some are still sleeping. we might get your attention on some of these hot issues that are before us every week. And boy, we got a few right now, Michael, that got me pretty hot.
Yesterday, you know, we found out. Well, I was talking about it earlier, Gene, on the show. Ted and I were, but we found out that they captured the guy who gave the U.S. secrets up. But the disturbing thing about it to me, of course, you're always going to have people that are going to do things like this. I think we should bring back the death penalty for treason. I truly do. This guy did something he shouldn't have done. If he had concerns about it, he should have made his concerns known and there are other ways to do that. But what he did is he exposed the fact that the United States government is lying to us. They're lying to us about particularly Ukraine. And what's going to happen in Ukraine is it's very possible could turn into something that could be much bigger. World War III. In fact, Donald Trump said on an interview with Tucker Carlson the other night that we are looking at World War III. What say you?
Well, here you have a 21-year-old that Jack Douglas Teixeira. Now, which is worse? Is he a criminal subject to treason, as you just said, for having sent out over 53 documents on the web through a private chat session that got out there, which is wrong, which is a breach of our national security? No one argues that. First of all, I have a question as to why a 21-year-old has such serious access to so much national security information, which begs the question, who's running the shop over there and managing the intelligence? We got 17 different security agencies in this nation now that are dealing with different aspects of security nationwide. But I'm now concerned about these leaks. Or is it back to our 3 Ds: divert, deflect, and distract? The Biden's crime family has diverted, deflected, and distracted your attention away from their wrongs by focusing you on the wrongs of this leaker. Who's the bigger traitor? Do we support a whistleblower who did this wrong, or an administration that's been lying to us? So should the death penalty and this treasonous behavior be extended all the way to the president of the United States? And who's going to indict him with the same balance of the judicial system as they did with Trump? Do you think there's equal justice? we have a more material problem. And here's the divert distract issue. Meanwhile, China is arming Russia. No wonder French President Macron is siding with Russia, with China. What a bunch of amateurs. Significant breach has been exposed to us with this amateur oversight of our national security secrets. Michael, I'm outraged.
Yeah, and we should be. And you're right. A 21-year-old, look, I mean, I'm not saying, look, there's probably a lot of 21-year-olds out here that are very mature and understand the gravity of doing something like this. Obviously, he did not. Obviously, he decided to do something that was, you know, he said or claimed that he wanted his friends to know about the lies that were going on. Well, look, there's ways, you know, they have a whistleblower law, I guess, where you can actually, you know, blow the whistle on these people if they're doing something wrong, and you can do it legally without getting yourself in trouble. And he chose not to do that.
Yeah,
so you know, who knows?
Who's his boss, Michael, that gave him that national security clearance access to such confidential military information right when we're in the middle of a hotbed of activity in Ukraine? Who gave this kid that level of authority? Meanwhile, we have trade secrets being exposed, and China is laughing their butts off, embarrassing us on the world scene. No wonder some of these European nations are disloyal and leaving us. Now, that having said that, is there no desire for these nations in Europe to show some sympathy towards what America is going through right now? It was only 1 or 2 generations ago, we Americans had a Marshall Plan and a Monroe Doctrine that protected Europe after World War II. We stepped up, and we were pretty poor and didn't have an economy or a gross national product that we have right now. And we found a way of mustering up a few bucks to protect Europe and to rebuild Europe. And what the hell's wrong with the Bush family for supporting China coming into the World Association of Nations and helping them in just 1 or 2 administrations ago with increasing their economic standing and economy? Why? With American dollars, so China can now use American dollars to create a complete assault against us? The attack is from within our nation. We are at war with Russia, and we don't even know it because China is supplying them. How can we not see this debacle right hidden in plain sight right under our nose?
You know, we are old enough to remember. I remember as a kid, the big deal about President Nixon going to China. You remember that? This is where all this started. Now, here's the problem in our thinking, and I want you to listen to this for just a second, and you can comment whether you think I'm right or wrong. But we suspected that if we would start to engage China and we would start to bring our idea of freedom to the Chinese soil, that eventually they would be more capitalist and they would be more in line with the rest of the world instead of the communist country that they are. That did not work.
You're right. That was the intention. And we thought that even though their politics was their level of governance and government was a philosophy we did not agree with, socialistic or autocratic communism, at least we could trade with them and do something with them. Our greedy unions of a few decades ago our corporations didn't want to pay the high prices of our union costs here in the United States. So what did we do? We farmed out to China at 10 cents on the dollar. We got the same thing for much less. What did that do? It gave us a pretty good profit here in the United States, but the pendulum swung the wrong way. We'd now have our drugs and our pharmaceuticals and most of our supply being manufactured in China. If you're gonna squander money, I was going to say something else. If you're going to squander money the way we're doing in Ukraine and elsewhere in the world, then let's use that kind of money to bolster our own businesses here again in the United States and fortify our own supply chain network here in the United States, so we're not reliant upon Russia and China. And here's the big catch. Whether you agree with electric vehicles or not, the fuel prices would come down under $2 a gallon again if you allowed Congress to re-drill and get the pipelines going that Biden shut down, so we could pay for that same barrel of oil from our hostile enemies. What are we, nuts? The American public has a right to know what we're getting for the $200 billion we've given to Ukraine, which is up against our Russian adversary, which is now being supplied by China. Are we so stupid not to see this?
We are. Actually, we have not seen it. It has happened. It's happening in before our very eyes. China, who is well, we know that they're a communist country. That's the leader of that country. Did you hear what President Trump had to say about him? He said he's the smartest, most brilliant man he's ever met.
Sure,
these people are smart.
And Trump was criticized for talking to them and trying to be friendly with them. What the heck do you think? Have you read The Art of the Deal by Donald Trump? You don't throw bombs. You don't throw sticks from the other side of the street. You get up close and personal to the guy so you can hit him. Trump became their friend, so he scared the hell out of Putin and Xi Jinping, so that there was no aggression under Trump. There was nothing at all like that under Trump going on. And that's why we have the debacle we're in right now. Hey, back on the leaks. Are we going to worry about this 21-year-old kid who leaked out all this information stupidly? Okay, he's got a price to pay now. But are we going to forget about the Supreme Court leaks just a few months ago, leaking information about Roe versus Wade? Are we going to forget about James Comey, that true traitor who committed treason, who leaked information? How about Alvin Bragg more recently, who leaked information about the indictment coming out on Donald Trump? These were all illegal acts. Now we're going to make a big scene and put our attention on a 21-year-old kid who should have known better, admittedly, but now we're going to make a scene about that. It's a diversion. It's a deflection. It's a distraction of your attention away from their own wrongdoing.
Well, apparently they think that we are, or at least their idea is that people are stupid and they won't pay attention to what's going on. You and I pay attention to it. Folks that listen to these podcasts in our radio station, they understand. People understand what's going on. Did you hear what, by the way, not to change the subject, but I wanted to get this in. When you're dealing with a person who's a businessman, who understands how business works, which is what we got in Trump. Now, Biden has no business knowledge whatsoever. But let's go back to Trump on Macron, the president of France. He said to him, "Oh, you're going to charge American businesses a premium for doing business over there? Well, you got until Monday morning at 9 o'clock to decide whether or not you want to do this, because if you do, I'm going to put 100% tax on wine coming from France right here in the United States. So if that's the game you want to play, I'll play with you."
Trump didn't blink and Macron buckled, and there's your proof. And the same thing happened with someone more powerful, Xi Jinping, who is the head of China, and Rocket Man over in North Korea. They all blinked. Trump.
He also mentioned they blinked, but he also mentioned the fact that that leader of North Korea is a very bright young man as well. He understands. These people are smart. They didn't get where they are because they're dummies.
Well, this American experiment is going to expire, and it will expire, Michael, only due to our own suicide. We will do it to ourselves. You know, Abraham Lincoln already saw the strength of our country, and he took it upon himself to avoid a disaster.
That's right. Okay. All right, Gene Valentino, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. See you next week.
Next week, brothers.
Fox News, I'm Gianna Gelosi, the 21-year-old Air National Guard member arrested for exposing the nation's classified